Braindead Nana Part 1. Introduction. In an era of chaos, a scientifically engineered virus was accidentally released, spreading across the globe and affecting select individuals. In the present day, those infected have been classified into two distinct groups. The braindead, these are individuals with average or low IQs. They appear outwardly normal but behave like children with special needs. They neither express emotions nor seem to possess them. Lacking social skills, they are nonverbal and incapable of making decisions independently. However, they are harmless. Much like young children, they can be guided. In fact, they require guidance to perform even the simplest of tasks. They are not truly brain-dead, rather, their cognitive functions have been severely impaired. According to research, the virus specifically targets the brain, with lower IQs suffering greater damage. Those with average intelligence fall into the brain-dead category who can still follow basic instructions, while those with extremely low IQs are considered practically useless. The brainiac, this group, is the most dangerous and deadly. These are psychopaths who, once infected, become entirely unhinged. The virus does not dull their minds. Instead, it intensifies their violent impulses. They kill indiscriminately and without remorse. Due to the threat they pose, they have been imprisoned in Dimwood Prison. Though few in number, they are lethally efficient. The unaffected are those individuals who possessed above-average IQs prior to infection, and they remain immune. 10 years on, this unaffected group now makes up just 3% of the world's population. With the numbers dwindling at an alarming rate, the founder of the Dimwood Safe Haven Institute, known simply as the Mistress, has devoted her life to discovering a cure. Within Dimwood lies a highly advanced facility offering safety and luxury to the wealthy, whether normal or brain-dead. This sanctuary is known as the Dimwood Safe Haven Institute DSHI. Spanning 70% of Dimwood's landmass, the institute is fortified by towering walls and reinforced with state-of-the-art security systems. Inside, the elite, often referred to as the Rurals, live under round-the-clock protection. Beyond the institute's borders lie the commoners. These civilians live much like the world used to be, constantly at risk. Yet, some individuals who demonstrate exceptional skill in their fields earn the privilege of working at the institute. These select few reside in Rose Villa. Rose Villa is not lavish like the residences within DSHI, but it is the finest living space outside the facility. Built exclusively for DSHI employees, it is a modest 4-story building with a secured courtyard, a rare sanctuary in the outer zone. Chapter 1. The Escape Plan. Another attack by a brainiac was reported early this morning. On the top floor of the entrance building, Nana remained expressionless as she watched several employees gather in the main entrance lobby, pleading to be let out despite it still being working hours. Please, Doc, let me out. Kate's at home alone. I need to know she's all right. Mike Johnson pleaded desperately with head of security, Zoc Michael. Mike was one of the institute's chefs. The attack had occurred near Rose Villa, and he was deeply concerned for his wife, his brain-dead wife. Nana, intrigued, remained in place, silently observing the scene. It wasn't unusual for civilians to marry someone classified as brain-dead. In fact, it had become quite common. While the unaffected were intelligent, many of them were deeply introverted, antisocial even. They loathed rejection. Having a brain-dead partner gave them a sense of comfort, a guarantee that, no matter how withdrawn or reclusive they became, they wouldn't be alone. A partner who wouldn't judge them, who would never leave, who would never ask questions. For some, that kind of life was enough. And those who married brain-dead partners, many of them loved their partner more fiercely than any. You know the protocol, Mike. No one's allowed to leave during duty hours. Zoc replied coldly. He was also on edge, though he didn't show it. Mike's paranoia was making things worse. Heartless bastard. Your wife's alone at home, too, aren't you worried? Mike snapped, grabbing Zoc by the collar of his black suit. Everyone knew Zoc's marriage was more of a game than a relationship. He was one of Dimwood's wealthy elite, the kind of man who had everything. And yet, he married a brain-dead woman he'd saved from a brainiac. But rumors spread quickly, and people believed he wasn't truly committed. He didn't even bring his wife to live with him inside the institute. Instead, he kept a small unit at Rose Villa far beneath his status. Everyone knew that she was just his plaything, something disposable once he got bored. Mike couldn't understand what game Zoc was playing, but the thought that he didn't care about his wife's safety infuriated him. Mike, stop it. Lucas tried his best to pull the larger man away from Zoc. Lucas Stone, the so-called Satan of the engineering department, was Mike's neighbor and friend. Do you want to get suspended? Lucas warned. Zoc, however, was something else entirely. Cold, deadly. Gorgeous, lean, but incredibly strong, trained to kill. Lucas knew that, despite Mike's size, he wouldn't stand a chance against him. Do you really think I care about suspension if something's happened to Kate? Mike snapped, pulling away. This man so large and so intimidating was reduced to desperation over his wife, his brain-dead wife. Honestly, she was useless. Lucas couldn't comprehend why anyone would marry one of them. To him, they were just burdens. Especially Mike. Mike was a good-looking man. He could have had a decent, normal woman, yet here he was, losing his mind over someone who wouldn't even understand what was happening around her. All right, I get it. You're worried, but we have protocols to follow. If you want to leave, request permission from admin, Lucas said firmly. But I can't wait for it to be approved. I need to go home now. Mike was losing control. The brainiac in the news had slaughtered civilians near Rose Villa. The thought of his poor wife being in danger gnawed at him. He regretted not giving her a phone, even though she wouldn't have been able to use it. Mrs. Snow, the villa keeper, was not answering his call. Mr. Johnson, a security guard came running, calling out to Mike and the others waiting in the lobby. I've just received the police report, he said, breathless. The Brainiac has been captured and I've got the list of victims. You'll be relieved to hear your family members aren't among them. Relief swept over the group. Mike, especially, was grateful that he had officially registered his marriage to Kate. Now, she was included in the Institute's protection and insurance program. Everything's fine now, Johnson. So, return to your post, Doc ordered curtly. Mike and Lucas exchanged a glare before reluctantly turning away. Zoc, the rich kid, he still had his family. Mike and Lucas were both orphans. Zoc couldn't possibly understand what it meant to lose someone you love. As the two men walked back to their assigned posts, Nana continued to watch them with quiet curiosity. Fascinating, isn't it? Veronica Hoyle said, handing Nana a cup of coffee. Without a flicker of emotion, Nana accepted the coffee, took a sip, and continued to observe the two men as they disappeared down the corridor. Madame Nirvana Natividad's funeral. Nana stared blankly at the coffin. This would be the last time she'd ever see her grandmother's face. She stood still, unmoving, as her grandmother's assistant, Veronica Hoyles, graciously welcomed the mourners. Veronica had sent a letter to Nigel Natividad, Nana's older brother, informing him of their grandmother's passing. But that man cold-hearted to the core hadn't even bothered to come. With a weary sigh, Veronica watched Nana, who hadn't moved from her spot near the casket. Just like her brother, she seemed heartless and able to shed a single tear for the woman who had raised her. Sighing again, Veronica approached her quietly. I'm quite certain Madame Nirvana is at Heaven's Gate now, she said gently, trying to comfort her. As always, Nana simply looked at her expressionless, blank, no emotion, not even a flicker. Curious, Veronica imagined Nana silently asking her whether heaven was real. Egg. Smiling softly, she replied, heaven is real, you know? All you have to do is believe and have faith. Turning her gaze back to the coffin, Nana blinked twice. Hopeless, absolutely hopeless, Veronica told herself. Later that evening. You're completely mad, Varen. Lucas snapped at his cousin. Veronica Hoyles, his only remaining family since their parents had been massacred by a brainiac 10 years ago, stood her ground. Yes, maybe I am, she admitted. But Luke, I can't just abandon Nana. For the past 10 years, Madame Nirvana was the one who helped me. She helped us. She made sure we had shelter, protection, stability. Without her, we might still be living on the streets after the outbreak. And now that she's gone, Nana has no one. And being brain dead, she can't take care of herself. Lucas's voice rose, but what you're asking of me is outrageous. You want me to marry that useless girl? Watch your mouth, Luke. Veronica snapped back. Nana is not useless. She took a breath, composing herself. Please just listen. Without Madame Nirvana, Nana can't stay at the Institute. She can't afford to. She has no legal guardian, no substantial inheritance. Maybe a small amount left, but not enough. She can't survive on her own. All I'm asking is for you to marry her on paper. That way, she'd be allowed to stay in the Rose Villa. You know the rules. Only family members are permitted. And it's not as though I can marry her myself, is it? Lucas remained silent. She won't live with you, Veronica continued. She'd be with me. You're only marrying her on peep or I will be the one to take care of her. Why are you even doing this? Lucas asked, his voice low. You're not obligated to take responsibility for her. She's family, Luke. Madame Nirvana treated me like one of her own, not just an assistant. That means something to me. Veronica's thoughts drifted to 10 years ago, when the virus first broke out. Their parents had been among the first victims of the brainiacs. The world had fallen into chaos. Veronica, not being a genius like Luke, had no idea what to do with her life. She wasn't exceptional, just average. But then came Madame Nirvana and Nana. They were the same age, and Madame Nirvana had believed she was perfect for the role. She had introduced Veronica to others as her assistant, but in truth, she was Nana's caretaker. Lucas weighed his options. Yes, Madame Nirvana had helped them, but he'd also earned his place at the Institute through merit, through hard work and talent. He owed no one. Still, without the old woman's influence, he and Veronica might have spent their first year post-outbreak on the streets. That much he couldn't deny. He sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. A headache was creeping in. He hadn't even known Madame Nirvana had a granddaughter, let alone a brain-dead one. He was stunned when Veronica asked him to marry her. Luke, she said, grasping his hand, eyes pleading. I know you never plan to marry anyone, so please just consider this. It was true. He had no intention of ever marrying. The world was too toxic for that. He'd rather be alone than risk a brain-dead wife or child. He saw it all as a burden. And now here she was, asking him to do the very thing he'd vowed to avoid, marry a brain-dead woman. It's only on paper, Veronica added softly, her voice echoing through his mind. Only on paper. At least he wouldn't be the one taking care of her. All right, fine, he relented, but it's strictly on paper. I'm not responsible for her in any way, understood? Yes, Veronica squealed, hugging him tight. Thank you, Luke, you're the best.